I'm Kate from Colosoul and we're here with Split Seconds backstage at Southbound. So first up, I just wanted to ask, your band started out as a side project. What do you think is it about the band that's made it successful?
Wow, that's a good question. Mostly just that nobody really had much better things to do, so the side project became like the whole project because, I mean, generally we were like, oh, we got heaps of time on our hands, we may as well cast doing that. So yeah, I think generally we have a rehearsal room in our house, so that makes us practice a lot more often than some bands maybe.
Yeah. It was a bit of an evolution. Sean was writing the songs and everyone was helping out as needed, and then we realised that everyone else had a heap of spare time and it became more of a full-time thing.
Do you think that there's, what do you think is unique about the Perth music scene?
I mean, it's a pretty small scene. It's a pretty inclusive scene. It's very supportive of new bands. When we kind of first started playing, we got, you know, heaps of gigs and support from people, and really kind of were able to get on the radar pretty quickly. So I think it's unique in the way that it's quite hard to get lost if you're kind of doing the right thing. It's hard for some people not to pay attention at some point. So I think a lot of music scenes, there are a lot of great bands that just don't get recognised. I think in Perth, if there's a great band, usually they're recognised, especially in Perth straight away. And it's unique because it's distance as well. It's so far from everything, so it's quite unique that way.
It's a great place to try things. It's a great place to meet people in other bands. I mean, we all met through bands that used to play together. The one thing that's sometimes a bit hard is to get over east and to find opportunities to play over there. That's still quite difficult, but otherwise it's a great place to, you know, do whatever you want, give it a whirl on stage and see how you go.
Yeah, so a lot of Perth bands that make it big in Perth move over east, for example, like Institute Polaire or something like that. Have you ever considered the move?
We have considered it. You know, we're kind of hoping to do it sometime in the future, maybe. It's just a matter of logistics. It's a matter of wanting to be at that point in your life personally as well as for the band. Like, a lot of bands tend to go over there and hope for the best, and you know, you don't want to do that. You want to have actually a plan, and you want it to be, if you're going to do it, you want it to be successful as possible. So it's something that you have to think pretty hard about, something you have to plan for pretty far in advance, and yeah, put it together well.
We've had friends who've moved the entire band over to Melbourne or Sydney, and it's if you're doing it just for the band, it's a pretty big call. But I think you need to be able to be comfortable doing it personally, and everyone has to do it for their own reasons as well as the band. Otherwise, people end up coming back pretty quickly, and it doesn't end up being a long-term move.
Okay, so you started out because you were living together, but you also, a few of you knew each other from the scene before. So how did that come about? Like, whose decision was it to start a new band?
I think it's probably my fault at the end of the day. It's kind of, I had a few songs and everyone was kind of, you know, hanging out in the same house and hanging out in the same basic areas. So we decided, you know, it's probably the best time to start a band is now, while everyone's hanging around and while everyone's playing instruments. And yeah, it was really just a timing thing. Sean was writing some songs and wanted a bit of a hand, and everyone was at a loose end at the same time. It was just a matter of picking up the phone and saying, hey man, do you want to come help out?
So you're from WA, presumably you've been to Southbound before as a patron. What's it like now being on stage with people cheering your name?
Yeah, it's good. It's always good fun. It's pretty weird. It's pretty surreal. You know, it's weird. You get to kind of these levels, not like we're at any particular level, we're at the level where we're playing here, but you know, we played a few festivals over east and stuff like that. It doesn't really feel that real a lot of the time. It just feels like it's kind of another thing that you've got to do. Not that we don't, you know, like, we appreciate every gig that we ever get, but we've played so many gigs. It's kind of like you often see bands and you go, wow, wouldn't it be good to be that band? And I'm sure that band is probably going, oh, I just hope I don't stuff it up, you know, like which we mostly do a lot of the time. Just hope, you know, I wonder if the sound's okay out the front, or I wonder if anyone's looking at my face, or if I need a haircut or something like that. I think most bands are as insecure as everyone, but yeah, it's just you play in a band and you hope to get to the point where you get to play at Southbound, and yeah, we're just lucky enough to have been able to do it this year.
It's certainly nice to have access to good showers. I remember those years camping and you just couldn't get clean, and by day 2 you were totally grubby, and nowadays we can actually go back to our accommodation and have a shower. So that's the big difference, I think.
Next question, very generic band question. What's the meaning behind your name?
Doesn't have one. I like the 2 S's, and it's one of those band names where Nobody disputes it. It's one of those ones where you go, I used to be in a band with a stupid name, and we've all been in bands with stupid names, and it's kind of like when somebody asks your band name and you say what it is, you need them to go, oh, cool, and then ask about what you sound like. Yeah. You don't need them to go, what? Say that again? What's that all about? Like, so it was just easy, man. It was just, I don't think there's any real significance behind it at all. It's just
95% of band names is just picking something that doesn't give people completely the wrong impression, and you pick something fairly neutral that you can then infuse with your own meaning, I guess, and that's sort of what we tried to do.
Okay, well, it sounds like good articulation, split seconds, rolls off the tongue. Yeah, okay. Well, that wraps up our interview. Thanks very much, and enjoy the rest of your Southbound.